And now let's dive a little bit deeper into that draft as we are joined by Viking legend and NFL Hall of Famer Cris Carter joins the show. Cris, thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I mean, these are tough times out here, so to be able to talk about some sports, to get our mind off some of the press conferences and some of the other things that we're going through, it definitely should help you, me, and all the other sports fanatics out there because there hadn't been any sports over the last month.
Yeah, I feel like people are just craving the draft as we approach it. And it's going to look different, though. I mean, given the fact that Goodell is going to be announcing picks in his basement, you got GMs running the draft from their home, isolated.
Right.
Do you see that as a situation where we're going to see a more conservative draft, or will this just increase movement and craziness?
Well, I know you do some side work as a stand-up comic and everything. So if you've looked at some of the late night shows, and I think they have been a litmus test for some of the things we're going to see in football. Like, I love Jimmy Fallon and everything, but they're not as funny without their surrounding cast and having a live audience chip in. So I do believe that because of not only Rick Spielman and his vast experience around the National Football League and where he sits in the Vikings organization, he doesn't have to make a brash pick. He doesn't have to trade up in the draft, trade down in the draft. I mean, his overall stability won't force him to make mistakes that I do believe that some other coaches and general managers, with this being their year that they have to be successful, I believe those general managers, there's more pressure on them. So not only Rick Spielman, but who we have as far as a capologist, all those connections we have with the coaching staff and the overall chemistry of the organization, I do believe will be a benefit to the Vikings, who have, I think, 5 picks in the first 3 rounds.
Now, Cris, you were a mentor at this year's NFL Combine, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the hype around this wide receiver class is bonkers. Am I buying into that? Should I buy into what everybody is saying? I mean, they're talking about 35, 40 picks that should have a chance to compete to play in this league.
No, absolutely. And I sense your pessimism in there, all right? This will go down as one of the great classes we have. And it's not because the top 2 or 3 guys. No, it's because the overall depth for which you mentioned. I believe that there's at least 25 receivers that can be drafted in the first 4 rounds. So we're going to see some superstars come off the board in day 2, and not necessarily in day 3, but in rounds 2 and 3. I believe that the value shall be there. So I know a lot of Vikings fans are out there, hey, we need a wide receiver at the top. Yeah, we need a wide receiver, but only if he can run really, really fast. And this group has every shape, size, route runners, deep guys, special teams guys. So this is a great draft, but it's like ice cream. Some ice cream is better with a sundae, some is better on a sugar cone. So you need to make sure you put these kids in the right environment. The Vikings, we need speed. We don't have a deep threat at wide receiver. And we know that we like to run the ball because our tailback is very, very special in Dalvin Cook. So we need someone to be able to take the top off the defense. Vikings fans should be leaning for not only a wide receiver, but one who can do that.
So of the guys that you saw at the Combine, who do you think might fit in well with the sort of offense that Kubiak is running?
Well, I think a guy that really had a great Combine is Justin Jefferson. He's an accomplished route runner from LSU, very, very mature receiver. I believe he is a star in the making. Now, I believe there will be several stars that will come out of this draft, but his ability to be able to get open, he can play outside, he can play inside. Surprised some people when he ran that low 4.43 there. People didn't think he had that type of speed. So I do believe he's played at the highest level, played with a very, very good quarterback, and exploded in his junior year. But Justin Jefferson, I believe, is the type of fit that goes in with what the Vikings have looked for in the past in wide receivers and what they'll need going forward as far as someone opposite of Adam Thielen. The other guy I'd like to look at is T. Higgins, the big, tall, lanky receiver from Clemson. Now, he didn't have a great time on his pro day and was a little banged up this offseason, but I believe he has football speed and game speed, and he has played against the best competition throughout the years and has always been one of the better players on that stage. So I think that his ability, also his size, added to what we already have in route runners and some other savvy receivers, and also ability at the tight end position, I believe T. Higgins could be a tremendous addition. So Justin Jefferson, LSU, and T. Higgins out of Clemson, I believe they would be a great addition to the Vikings football family.
And now I want you just for a second before we move on to step outside the Vikings, because you're the guy with the best hands in the history of the league. I want to know which wide receiver, who has the best hands? Who did you see pulling in balls that they shouldn't?
Wow. Who has the best hands in this draft?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that would really be hard. My man from Oklahoma, man, C.D. Lamb, he has some really good route runner, but outstanding hands. His catch radius for a guy, someone his size, I believe he is one of the bright stars we have in this draft. He's very, very coachable. I never had an issue or problem with him. And for those kids who know that I've coached through the years, they know that Coach Carter can be very testy. And I tried him, I pushed him, but he was nothing but very, very respectful. And he was like a sponge to football. He loves football, loves the game, and he loves it for the right reasons. There's a lot of wide receivers, they love the benefits of being a receiver. They want to get paid in the limelight and the fanfare, but the hard work and dedication, sometimes wide receivers, they leave that attribute to some of the other positions. So I believe that C.D. Lamb and some of these other kids that I talk about, they all have all those attributes.
Amazing. Well, I want you to keep that coach hat on for our last question, because given the pandemic, you're talking about a truncated offseason, most likely. How can a team get ready and prepare for the season on a like from a scheme and playbook sense when we're all stuck in our houses?
Well, I think that the NFL coaches will have a game plan for the veteran players. I think that veteran players, their overall value went up. Younger players are at a disadvantage. So if I'm going into the draft, not only am I dependent on my veteran players, I'm looking for veteran players from college, guys who might be a little bit older, team captains, guys who have conducted themselves on a college campus the way that you want to be represented. Because I have an abbreviated offseason. I haven't had the time to do some of the security and background checks. So if a guy has questionable character, I might have to pass on him or go for a value add and try to get him later in the draft.
Cris, this was incredible. Thank you so much for spending some time with us and shining light on the offseason and the wide receivers. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you real soon, man.
Let's do it, man. Skol Vikings.